Hi guys, Mr. Tanner here in the Latin shed, ready to bring you another video all about Latin language. Okay guys, remembering back to book 1, we're going to be looking at another part of the verb today. Here's a little recap about conjugations. Remember, the proper word for a group of verbs is a conjugation, and they're sorted by their thematic vowels. So that's the A, the E and the I for ambular, doce and audi. Today we're learning about the infinitive. This is the form of the verb which means to blank. So to carry, to look, to see, to whatever. It's usually formed by adding the letters re to the verb stem. So ambulare, docere, audire in the fourth conjugation. And the third one, well, since the third conjugation doesn't really have a thematic vowel, we have to add a short E into there to make trahere. I should say it's a short E because short E is the puniest, feeblest little vowel around, and so it's easy just to slot it in there to help with pronunciation. So, looking at the first conjugation infinitive more closely, ambulare means to walk. Here's an example. Infans ambulare discit. The baby is learning to walk. So that's how we're going to use our infinitive: to walk, to carry, to look. It's also worth noting that if you look up a verb in a Latin dictionary, its principal parts will be listed, and the infinitive is one of these principal parts. They're called principal parts because you can use them to work out every other bit of the verb. So for instance, for ambulo, it goes ambulo, ambulare, ambulavi, and then it says the English meaning, which is walk. So you've got the present tense, the infinitive, and the perfect tense. Principal parts are incredibly useful. Just remember them when you're looking up your verbs. Watch out for them. So, here's an example of some verbs that make use of the infinitive, and you'll be seeing these when you're looking in your textbook. Volo, nolo, and mālo are all to do with wanting. I want, I don't want, and I prefer, I want more. There's also possum, which means I am able, or perhaps in better English, I can. So, for instance, infans ambulare vult is the baby wants to walk. Infans ambulare non vult, the baby doesn't want to walk. Infans ambulare ma vult, the baby prefers to walk. And infans ambulare potest, the baby is able to walk. So these are called verbs that take an infinitive. Taking means needing in this phrase, so they're verbs that need an infinitive to follow them. There's several verbs in Latin that go like this, and these are the ones that you've seen most recently. Here's all four of those verbs in their full present tenses. Let's have a look at them all. Volo, vis, vult. Volumus, vultis, volunt. Nolo, non vis, non vult. Nolumus, non vultis, nolunt. Mālo, mavis, mavult. Malumus, mavultis, and malunt. And possum, potes, potest. Possumus, potestis, possunt. I guess the key things to notice with those are, first of all, for the volo, nolo, mālo ones, they all have the right endings, ost, mus, tis, unt. However, it's their stems that will go a little bit wonky, so we have to be a bit careful with those. With volo, but vis and vult in the third person singular. Possum is a variation on the verb to be. So it takes basically the present tense of the verb to be, sum es est, sumus estis sunt, and sticks potis, the word for able, on the front of them. Again, the endings are fairly regular. Just on this case, we've got possum with an M on the end rather than something with an O, which you might expect. Right, now it's time to grab a pen and some paper, or whatever method you usually use for writing things down, trying out some exercises, and we'll have a go at translating some of these verbs in context. Okay, here we go then. I've got several examples for you today. Here are our practice sentences. Translate the 8 sentences into English and pay close attention to the verb endings. Make sure you pause the video now whilst you work them all out. Here come the answers then. So, number 1. Bregans est fessus, laborare non vult. Bregans is tired. He does not want to work. Rufila in villa magnifica habitare vult. Rufila wants to live in a magnificent villa. Philus pecuniam numerare potest. Philus is able to, or Philus can, count money. Loquax suaviter cantare potest, antiloquax tamen saltare mavult. Loquax can sing sweetly, antiloquax, however, prefers to dance. Ego fundum inspicere volo. I want to inspect the farm. Clamat Salvius, shouts Salvius. Ceras et stylos invenire non possum. So here's a tricky one. I can't find the wax tablets and the pens, says Philus. Precans dicit vos in villa laborare vultis, ego in agro laborare mālo. You all want to work in the house, says Bregans. I prefer to work in the field. And finally, nos in collina coquere possumus. We can cook in the kitchen. Tu in atrio dormire non potes. You can't sleep in the atrium. Did you see how all of these verbs took infinitives? We had laborare and habitare and so on and so forth. And did you also manage to get all the persons of the verbs right? The first four were reasonably straightforward because they were third person. But number 5 brought in I want. Number 6 was I can't. Number 7 had you plural and I. And number 8 had we and you singular in it. I hope you did okay. One more thing. It's just worth noting that ironically, but perhaps not surprisingly, all 5 of these verbs here in this table have irregular infinitives. So it's the 4 verbs we've met today, plus the verb to be, whose infinitive is esse. Strange, isn't it? Okay, just to recap. Now you can define what infinitives are, and you can translate volo, nolo, mālo, and possum. And you can explain the formation of infinitives of all 4 conjugations, and the way that the present tense of volo, nolo, mālo, and possum are formed. And you can explain the expression verbs that take an infinitive. Hope that was useful to you guys. See you again soon. Bye for now.